No problem, I've been told. How many minutes more do you have?
1 minute.
By your phone is outstanding.
Yeah.
We have 1 second.
No vibration.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Not vibration.
I'm standing
It's
by.
on.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, has so far won majority seats in the 2 chambers of the National Assembly, as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The ruling party won 57 seats in the Senate and won 162 seats in the House of Representatives out of the 423 legislative results so far released by the Commission. Winners had been declared for 423 national legislative seats. Supplementary polls would be held in 46 constituencies as 98 out of 109 seats had been declared in the Senate. Adding that 7 political parties have won senatorial seats. In contrast, he said in the House of Representatives, 8 political parties have won 325 out of 360 seats. As Nigerians await the swearing-in ceremony of APC's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the 29th May 2023 as the 16th President of Nigeria and the inauguration of the National Assembly members in June, all eyes are now on the legislative arm of government to battle for its potential leadership. Even as underground horse trading is ongoing, there are interplay of issues for consideration in the choice of our National Assembly leaders, with the hope that mistakes of the past will be avoided. Part of the problem of the past was the inability of the stakeholders to build a consensus around the candidates that eventually emerged. Such ugly development also created banana peels for those leaders. And those scenarios also precipitated on ending conflicts of interest, with far-reaching implications and putting together of legislation for the good of the country. The ruling APC in 2015 has a leadership that emerged at variance with the wishes of the party hierarchy. Ex-Senate President Bukola Saraki and former Speaker Yakubu Dogara pulled the rug off the feet of the party leaders and emerged as Senate President and House Speaker, respectively, in what seemed like a palace coup. The action of the duo said the sad relationship between executive and legislature that endured till the end of their tenure, despite the passage of 515 bills. There was, however, a slight departure from the crisis-prone 8th National Assembly with the when the presidency, in cahoots with the party hierarchy, worked together for the emergence of Ahmed Lawan and Femi Gbajabiamila as Senate President and Speaker, respectively, in 2019. They did manage to get a few landmark things done, such as the highly applauded Electoral Law and Petroleum Industry Act, after many years in the doldrums. How well served are Nigerians under Lawan is a matter of interpretation. Why some believe, since the president is from the southwest, vice president is from the northeast, and hopefully the south-south or southeast may get the Senate president. The northwest, which constitutes the largest voting bloc, and north-central should be considered for the post of the speaker. There are some others who felt that going forward into the next dispensation, the ideal candidate for NAS leadership should have a combination of competence, experience, and capacity, since the performance of the legislature in cooperation with the executive is linked to how their leadership emerged. How should pitfalls of the past be avoided? What are the factors that could engender harmonious working relationship? How can they achieve these? Through robust engagement, dialogue, bridge building, and altruistic negotiation in a give-and-take manner. Well, on the program today, our guest shall be providing answers to some of these questions and others. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am your carrier, Clinton. I'm joined by Comrade Dominic Ogapu, a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. A pleasure is mine.
Also joining us via Zoom is Kasim Afegua, former Commissioner for Information, Edo State. Good to have you with us, sir.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
We're good. And I hope you're good too. I'll start with you, Dominic. Let's start with the essence of leadership at the, the legislative level of governance. How would you rate the outgoing 9th Assembly?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's a mixed feeling. The 9th Assembly that is about winding up, although it started like a rubber stamp assembly. A lot of people try to describe it in that way due to the cordial relationship that they enjoyed with the executive arm of government. But that, having said that, I'm sure they were able to deliver on very sensitive and crucial bills that are like bedrocks to democracy and to good governance. One of it, whether you like it or not, is a not too young to run bill that was expressly given attention by Mr. President. That bill for me is what has actually given rise to what we have in our polity today. You see, we have a more robust democracy, whether you like it or not. Yes, there are issues that we still need to deal with, but our democracy is more robust. You see the young people who are involved by virtue of that bill. Secondly, the electoral amendment, where you see what has happened. The Electoral Act is a different ball altogether. The introduction of beavers and all other factors. Yes, there are issues. We have tested it in 2023 elections. We are sure that with improvement by the next cycle of elections, it will be. So there are other crucial bills at this 9th Assembly, in spite of trying to. I think one of the problems they had was that they were actually trying to be careful, given their experience with what the National Assembly had with the executive in the 8th Assembly. So they didn't want a repeat of that. So a lot of people misconstrue or try to label them earlier on. But I'm sure they did well, and we are hoping that the bedrock which I have set, the 10th Assembly, will be able to improve on most of their achievements.
Thank you very much. Kasim, looking at the composition of the incoming 10th Assembly, we have different parties now. It's not like we didn't have them before, but there are more now. So what kind of relationship would you expect them to have, or do you foresee them having with the executive?
Thank you very much for the opportunity of this discussion. I think the point is, executive and legislature are supposed to be partners in progress. There are supposed to be some kind of symbiotic relationship between the executive and the legislature. But oftentimes people want to see the two arm of government quarrel over issues. They want to see them arguing over issues. They want to see them quarreling. They call them all manners. They call them all manners of them. But when they are not seeing that, they call them rubber stamp Senate or rubber stamp Assembly. But essentially, I want a constructive relationship between the executive and the legislature, such that they will be able to interrogate bills, interrogate other issues in the process of making laws for the good governance of the country. The executive is supposed to execute laws that are made by these people, but oftentimes we don't get to see this kind of relationship in a way that people will say, okay, they understand the issues. People will always want to think that once the National Assembly is kowtowing to the executive, or the executive is kowtowing to the National Assembly, they say it's a rubber stamp assembly. I want to see an agenda-setting Senate or National Assembly. I want to see an assembly that is pro-Nigerian, pan-Nigerian, so that whatever laws they make will be for the overwhelming well-being of the people.
He said quite a lot of things about the kind of assembly he's expecting. Now, how exactly should the coming 10th Assembly look like? We're talking in terms of leadership. Now, a lot of them are lobbying for the position of the Senate President, of course, the speakers and the rest of them. So, in your opinion, do you see zoning as the way to go?
Yes, for me, I feel that zoning would arrest a lot of divisive issues, especially in the polity, and will stabilize whatever we have. Apart from that, while we look at the issues of competence, capacity, experience, we need zoning to stabilize it. Don't forget that from your commentary, you see the president is already from the south, from the southwest. The vice president is from the northeast.
Yes.
So other positions need to go so that we don't infuse a particular zone with too many of these leadership issues. And I believe we have experience, we have people with capacity, we have people with competence across these other regions that do not have anything at the moment. Having said that, you also agree with me that this 10th Assembly, the dynamics is quite different, because for the first time you have other parties. For instance, you have Labour Party that have made inroads. So it's not just going to be a party affair. So even the APC that has a majority in the House should wake up to actually bring their best hands forward, so that they do not, what happened in the past will not come up. But I feel we'll have a more robust assembly, given the composition, given the fact that we have people from other parties, we have NNPP, we have Labour Party, we have ABGA, we have SDP, so it will be a more robust assembly, and whoever is going to ascend to leadership position or having key roles or having principal office in the 10th Assembly should be people who have the capacity to be able to manage the affairs of the National Assembly. Don't forget that the National Assembly is the melting ground of our polity, because they represent the bulk of the people. These people are directly elected by their constituents. However you want to look at it, not everybody can get to the president, but you can get to your member House of Rep, you can get to your Senate, your senator who is representing you. These people are easy to be reached. So that's why you need people that can manage the affairs of the National Assembly in such a way that it would rebuild confidence. Nigerians will now know that they have an assembly that can listen, that is attentive, that is competent, that they experience. So that would actually be a factor of the kind of leadership that the assembly will have.
Thank you very much. Now, Kasim, more people are now in the assembly. We're talking about new, fresh blood in the assembly. Currently, we just had 30 senators that were re-elected. Among the 38 seats so far declared, we have APC 57, PDP 29, 6 for the LP, and then PP 2, and so on. Now, what impact will this have on the lawmaking process?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's good for you to have a mixed grill of lawmakers in the assembly, so that the rubber stamp you're talking about will not just become a given or the normative order. There's the need for people or the lawmakers to, judge or argue, interrogate, issues before them. And because they are going to be lawmakers of different political parties, it will become interesting to have a mixture of this kind of ideas. You have the PDP 20-something senators, APC have majority 57, Labour Party, ABGA, and perhaps SDP. So you need to have, when you have this kind of mixture of different political persuasions, different ideological persuasions and leaning, it will help the process of lawmaking, subjecting the lawmaking process to serious interrogation, serious analysis, so that in the final analysis, when you are coming up with such laws, you will have gone through all the processes of reading, first reading, second reading, third reading, public hearing, and what have you. And the ideas that will be collated in the process will be those from these different persuasions, different political leaning, ideological leaning, and all of that. And it will be for the interest of the country. But for me, as an individual, I want to see the South-South geopolitical zone given the slot of Senate President.
So we lost him there. Back to you, Dominic. What kind of quality of laws are you expecting from the 10th Assembly?
There are very gray areas where the National Assembly should look into, very pertinent issues. One of it, for the National Assembly itself, for the first time, I want the National Assembly to look into the idea of constituency projects, which is housed in the National Assembly. I'm sorry to say this. The Assembly, the 10th Assembly, should attempt to purge herself of, quote unquote, the way they go about the issue of constituency projects. Possibly, they have to look inward, because that is where the bulk of the procurement fraud in our polity, that's where it happens. So we need leaders who will be able to look at it and say, boss, my brother, my sister, let's be able to deliver on the issue of good governance for our people. Let's take away ourselves. Let's look at ourselves as servants, which is actually why you are there in the first instance. Because it is to bring leadership closer to the people that we have what is called the National Assembly in the first instance. So if you are looking at the idea of the idea of constituency project should be properly looked into. For me, it looks like a drain pipe where government resources are not properly managed. Do you get what I mean? Because the bulk of our budget goes into this constituency project as a means of trying to pacify members of National Assembly. For me, I feel that the National Assembly themselves are the only ones who can look inward and begin to purge themselves, so that the people can have more confidence in them, so that they can even be more concerned about the process of lawmaking to stabilize the polity and deliver on the dividends of democracy. I believe, I know, just like Honorable Kazim has said, that he is looking at, he's trying to point to a direction that he is looking at the state, looking at the South, taking a shot at the Senate President. I also believe that it's not bad in itself, but I think it must be put in the proper perspective, so that we don't begin to try to undermine certain areas. In as much as that is, yes, the South did very well, especially in this election for the APC. So the APC too is not wrong if they look at it. For me, I also feel that the issue of speakership should be given to an experienced person, someone who is well versed, someone who has delivered in his little office. As a two-time member, he's been very exposed and all that. Depending on where the party will zone it to, there are people who can angle very well, whether you want to look at it in the North Central, or whether you want to look at it in the North, West. I think there are competent hands there where you can look at to give these leadership positions to. So first, in trying to give this principal office to members or senators, the spread must be there, so that we don't begin to look at a lopsidedness from the onset.
Okay, you just mentioned something now. You said if somebody that has been a two-time member. And, well, earlier you talked about competence. You know, so does it mean that the new members cannot take the position?
No, you and I know that you need to learn the ropes. Okay. You see, experience counts. There's a place for experience. Experience matters a lot. There's a place, especially in leadership. One of the greatest thing that we lack, especially in these countries, that we throw away experience. You know why we throw away experience? Because most times we try to tie experience to age, which should not be the issue. Because our recruitment process, it's poor in itself. We begin to have people who are, this is the first time that we are going to have very fresh and young people who will be trained in the leadership process. So experience, we can't throw away experience. Experience is very, very valid in the issue of administering leadership and good governance in itself.
Okay, Honorable Kazim. Now, he, of course, he's mentioned the National Assembly members, paying attention to constituency projects. Now, I want to ask you, what do you expect of the members now in terms of relationship with their constituencies? Because we've had in the past reports where members detach themselves. They are always, so to say, in Abuja, being Abuja just politicians. Only during during probably elections. You see them running back home. Of course, some of them pay the price this time around. So what do you say in terms of relationship with their constituents?
I have a different opinion about issue of constituency projects and the role of the lawmaker. The legislature is primarily vested with the responsibility of making laws for the good governance of the country. So by the time they have gotten themselves insulated into the constituency project adventure, so to speak, you see lawmakers showing classroom they have renovated, borehole, buying stuff for this thing. I don't think that is their primary responsibility. But because oftentimes people think that when they are making laws for the people that they are not doing enough for the people, they now decide to be lobbying the executive to be executing projects. The word execution is the responsibility of the executive arm of government. So as a lawmaker, you can lobby, the executive in certain aspects to bring XYZ infrastructure in your locality or in your constituency, so that the people you are representing will see that you are actually representing and attracting dividends of democracy to them. But the essential thing to do as a lawmaker is actually for you to connect with your people and ask them, what kind of laws can you pass or can you introduce that when implemented or when put into laws, those bills can reflect the wishes and aspirations of your constituency, and by extension, the constituency of others who share similar similarity or similar faith with you. But oftentimes you don't see that. They have become contractors. They go about chasing contracts. They are the one who execute those contracts and all of that. I think they are shying away from their responsibility as lawmakers. Lawmakers should be purely and primarily business of lawmaking. Executive is to execute those laws. But in Nigeria, they are given different assignments of pursuing constituency projects, such that a lot of them don't even know the bills that have been tendered in the floor of the National Assembly.
Thank you very much. Now, Dominic, we see the APC dominating, the National Assembly. Even though we know that there are other parties, but does this portend? Is this a good omen for the National Assembly?
You said does it?
I said, does it? Do you think it portends good omen for the National Assembly?
Okay, but before I answer that, I'm sure Mr. Honorable Kazim did not get what I was saying. I'm actually advocating that the National Assembly should stay away from constituency projects, because that's where they pad the budget. Most of them, they don't execute those projects. We have facts to prove that. Some try to just go about repeating the same cycle of projects as long as they are there and collecting monies from agencies of government. Having said that, well, for me, I feel that with the heterogeneous nature of the current National Assembly, it is a good omen for our polity. It is a very good omen. Now you have to show your mettle. You have to actually show that you have what it takes to be a member of the National Assembly for you to be there. Because there are young people there who are ready to actually show what they have. There are people, don't forget that Nigeria is evolving. Our leadership process is evolving. Yes, we have challenges. We have diverse challenges, but that doesn't make it. There's an evolution already. There's a trajectory that our leadership is taking to. So that right now, you see a lot of people lost election, members of National Assembly. Some were even angling to have a third term. They could not get it because their constituents rejected them. Some were angling to come back after one term. They could not come back. Principal. So now, it boils down to performance, especially with the primary function of the National Assembly, which is what? To make laws, to be in touch with the people and be able to deliver, to say, okay, these are the things I've done, these are, to be able to make laws that will guide government and bring good governance closer to the people. And that's the reason. So for me, this heterogeneous nature of the National Assembly is a welcome omen. It will show the true politician, it will show those who have the reach, who have the competence, who have the capacity, who have the experience to be able to manage people. Because now for you to even be a principal officer, you have to lobby from another dimension. It's not just going to be an easy ride. You know, even who would leadership of the National Assembly now with the composition, APC cannot just say because we are APC, we'll vote for APC and all that. So there is going to be diversity in terms of how the whole thing will go.
It's quite exciting.
Very, very exciting.
Very exciting.
Very exciting in the days ahead.
Yes. Still much to talk about, but we have to go. That's it on Nigeria Today. We want to thank our guest, Comrade Dominic Ogapu, a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for your contributions.
Thank you.
And also, Honorable Kasim Afegua, former Commissioner for Information, Edo State. Thank you for your insights. We also thank you, our viewer, for always keeping the date with us. Don't forget Nigeria Today at weekdays at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Thanks for watching. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye. Verify, interrogate, and accommodate all shades of opinion without prejudice.